everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gettin Gritty Wit It with my pal Yariv. My co, Yariv, how you doing?
Doing well, buddy. How you doing?
Doing great, because we have a legend in front of us. A legend that hails from Turku, Finland. A highly touted, coveted prospect in the NHL 2020 NHL draft, and Ruben Rafkin. He plays for TPS in the Liiga league, which is comparable to the SHL for those that are not familiar. He plays a two-way game, and honestly, Rube, introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hello, everyone. Ruben. It's an honor to be here today. Thanks to Jamey. We've been talking for a little now, and it's a pleasure to meet you as well, and just happy to be here today.
Just want to let everybody know, Noah is in love with this guy. When I was watching some highlights about a month ago, I'd say, and Noah just comes over, and mind you, he's not even 2 yet, just comes over, what's that? And I said, that is Ruben. That is Ruben. He said, did one of those gibberish things. And then from then on, now he's saying Ruben. He was playing hockey the other day. He's like, Ruben. Even though he didn't, hit the ball, he was throwing the ball into the net, whatever. He's still getting familiar with the sticks. So, so Noah is like a Nostradamus. And I feel as though that when this kid, he says something may happen. And Ruben, how do you feel on being on the cusp of the NHL here?
Well, obviously it's an honor, and it's something I have worked out in my whole life, and it's starting to pay off now, and I'm seeing good results on just working out every day and skating every day, and at the same moment it's I'm humble and just willing to work harder, but it's obviously nice that you're seeing some results.
We see it, that's for sure, especially your post that you put out last week that the viewers may not know. You working out in your home gym, and that has become a familiar thing in the United States. Yeah. You are currently working out with the team, though, as well, right?
Yeah, so right now, last week was the first week I went to skate, so it's been 2 months almost. And otherwise, we've been training with TPS in little groups, like 2 times a week, and just working out. And then TPS in Finland. The summer training is a lot different than in US. Like they will give us a full schedule for the whole summer, and we have to follow it. And then they give us these like sport watches and hard monitors, so they can follow that we do it with right heart rates and stuff. So it's pretty strict, and in TPS. It's a lot different that I have trained before, like a lot of running and cycling and stuff. But I listened to one podcast, and Kimmo Timonen was saying that when he played here, they had this Russian coach, and the only thing they did was running. And usually before the practice, they will run like 7 kilometers. And then it was a rainy day, and the coach came, and everyone thought that they're not going to run today because of the rain. And then the coach came, and he was like, the air is so fresh today because it's raining. We're going to run 14 kilometers today. So it's a lot of running, but it's good.
That's actually really interesting, and it kind of leads into one of the questions that I had about you specifically. From what I understand, you came over here kind of at a younger age with your whole family, right? And I believe you played it was in midget hockey in the U.S. I'm sorry.
I came by myself.
Oh,
so my
okay.
Family stayed here.
Wow. Oh, interesting. So you came by yourself, and so why did you choose to do that? Because it's interesting. You came over. It seems like you came over to the United States. You had your sprint in the OHL as well. Obviously, both great leagues, the U.S. Hockey League and the OHL, both great leagues, highly competitive. I would argue that Liiga is obviously a step above them. I mean, without a doubt. Why did you choose to go, kind of over to the States, Canada, and then back home?
Yeah, so I was 14 when I moved to US, but before that we had these select tournaments in. I played in Italy, in Slovakia, and in Philly. And in Slovakia, this guy from Philly, who I'm pretty close with now, he came talk to my dad, and he said he likes my game a lot, and he wants to fly me out to this tournament in Buffalo. And then we started talking, and actually then he found me a family to stay with. I was about 13 then. I just came for like 3 months to play summer hockey. Mm-hmm. And I lived in New Jersey with this family, and then I just played summer hockey, and then I went to tour South Kent, and that's when Joel Furby and Emilio Peterson gave me the tour, and then I really liked it, and that's when I chose to go to South Kent. And kind of the reason I went to South Kent was it was really hard to put hockey and school together in Finland. Like all the good players in Finland, they kind of just like, they don't even like graduate. Like they kind of just drop out. And like, I don't know, like I'm a smart kid, and it just seemed like a right thing for me to graduate, because it's not like I have to like leave practices or like stop working out or something. So I wanted to graduate with good papers and stuff, and I actually just graduated from school in US. So thank you. So from South Kent, I went to South Kent for 2 years. I played U16 when I was 14, so I played with 2000s. So I played 2 years up, and then the next year I stayed with the 16s and played 1 year up. So South Kent was a great place. I really enjoyed it there. It was 160 students in a private school. Just boys, no girls at all. So it was pretty sick, and obviously like hockey was great there, and like it wasn't a normal school. Like let's say I had classes from 8 to 10, and then my next class was at 12. I would skate from 10 to 11 and during school. So it was, it was perfect. Like I skated so much, and got so much better there. It was something like I dream of always. Like the rink was like 2-minute walk from my dorm. So it was unreal. And then from South Kent, I tendered with Tri-City Storm in the USHL. And at that time, actually, before I tendered my first year in prep school, I was still 14. I committed to Denver, and at that time, I was kind of still like, I was planning on going to Denver and stuff, and then during the USHL year, I started to think that hockey doesn't last forever, and we have free education. I can go to a free university in Finland. So I thought, why shouldn't I just give everything to hockey and just play, and then do school later when my career is over. And that's when I started to think of OHL, and my agent Ryan Barnes. He has a lot of great players come through OHL, Taylor Hall, a lot of players. So he likes OHL as well. So then we started talking, and then I started to think that maybe I'll give it a chance in OHL. Like, seems like a pretty sick league and good players and a lot of draft prospects. So then the draft came up, and it was actually really painful to watch the draft, because my dream was to go to London Knights first. But then my agent told me right away that, there's no chance they're drafting at number 40, and you have to pick a team from top 15. So then I started to look at the top 15, and there's only 2 OHL teams, Sarnia and Windsor. So then my agent told me right away that Windsor is a great place, and he lives in Detroit, so he can come see me a lot and stuff. So then it was kind of done that, like Windsor's the spot. And then a day before the draft, one team from the queue called me, and they just told me that we're going to draft you no matter what. Like, I told them that I'm not coming, and they said, like, doesn't matter, we're just going to take you at number 3. I remember I was so worried that I had to go to Q and, they speak French over there and all that stuff. So I was so worried. And then the draft day came up and everything went well. So that's kind of it.
And you had a phenomenal year for the Windsor Spitfires for those. And really, you maintained a physical presence. But to me, what stands out in your game is that, and I'm looking at a lot of defensemen throughout this draft. To me, you're one of the best that transitions from defense to offense. And it's not just about offense. It's been playing well defensively, getting the puck to the forwards. It's amazing at what you were able to do this past season. And how your story is intriguing. Like, how did you put together such a good season for Windsor in transitioning from defense to offense and whatever?
Well, like it's hard. Like at this age, I know the scouts. They don't care about the points, or they don't care about some defenseman has to be just stay home defenseman and be a hard guy. But everyone else, the media, everyone, they just care about points and goals and fights and whatever. So I knew I had to put up points this year, and like it's not like I usually don't put up points, but this year I kind of like during the summer I started to like watch videos and work on like my offensive skills more, and I was like starting to put like I knew I had to put up points, so I started to work on like shooting more and stuff. So which I still do. It's not like only last year I'm gonna do that, but I knew I had to put up points so I can get myself up on the draft. And after the draft, I might put up 40 points in OHL when I'm 18, and then the next year if I played in OHL I might have put up 70, but then I go to the NHL and I might put up 5 points in a year and just be hard defenseman. So I don't really care about the points by myself, and I don't see myself as in like Eric Carson or someone, but one good example is like Kimmo Timonen or Matt Niskanen or someone just good defenseman. Like they can open the puck well and just defend, and then they can still do the job in the offensive zone.
That's it. You mentioned Kimmo, and Kimmo had not only was he a phenomenal Flyers defenseman, he's one of the best that ever put on that sweater as a defenseman in Flyers history, in my opinion. Definitely top 5. Arguably anyway, but he was so accurate on the power play. He was an intriguing player on the power play because he didn't miss the net.
Yeah,
he did not miss it. It was unbelievable how he was able to get the puck through traffic or make those slap passes, to other players. Like I know you're. Does it add any pressure playing for TPS from the team that Kimmo played for?
No, I don't think it adds pressure, but obviously there's a lot of great players in the TPS organization, like Saku Koivu and a lot of like guys who played in the NHL. My D coach is Sami Salo, who played for Vancouver, and there's bunch. So obviously I feel like I'm in great hands, but at the same time, like I want to show them what I got. So I don't think it adds pressure, but at the same time, I feel like a little pressure might be good.
For sure, and I think it's really interesting. You brought up your play style and the physicality. You said Matt Niskanen. It's really interesting you said that. Actually, I was thinking of you, and I don't want to put too much pressure on you and name this guy because Philadelphia, we love him. But Ivan Provorov is a guy that you actually remind me of. I don't want to put you on that level. I know it's a lot of pressure because of the type of caliber player he is at such a young age. But you have a lot of the physical makeup, right? You're 190, 6 foot, right? You have a really thick build for somebody your size. You're 18. From what I saw, you typically play against older players. So it's something you're kind of used to, is having to deal with larger players. I think that's actually one of your best bets to get in. And so I think we're very smart that you recognize that you have the offensive game, it's there, but what gets you to the NHL is that defensive game. Are you focused on the physical aspect of your game and trying to, I don't want to say compensate, but you're not 6'2", you're not 6'3", 6'4", but you are strong. And like he was saying, Kimmo Timonen, very rarely got out-muscled in the NHL. You almost never saw it happen. I think he's sub 6 foot tall. Do you have any things that you're doing that you're trying to prepare yourself for even TPS when guys get bigger and stronger?
No, well, obviously I work out hard and, train hard to be in good shape. But it's funny, I met with Arizona last year and they asked me, how tall are you? And I said, I'm 6 foot. And then the next question was, how tall you feel like when you're on the ice? And I said 6'5". And they said they thought I'm gonna say 6'6". So I don't know. It's something that I feel like I don't like 6'2" or 6 foot. I feel like it's the same. I know a lot of people, like some teams, let's say 25 teams in the draft, they like me a lot, and then there's 10 teams, whoever just say that no, you're too small, like you're not going to play in the NHL. But I feel like it all comes from the head. When I go to the corner, I don't look at the guy and be like, holy shit, he's 6'5" and 250 pounds. I just go and I want to win the battle. So I don't really feel pressure about being maybe little undersized if some people say that, because usually I'm faster than the big guys, and then I want the puck more than them.
Well, they see your dust.
Yeah.
And do you think what you're doing with Finland now is really preparing you for that? Because I love what you were saying about how they're tracking cardio, because that is a lot of it, right? Is being able to stay at 100%, 90% throughout the game. Do you think that that's going to give you that edge? Because you are a really good skater. I've watched you skate. You have a very interesting two-way game, one that I think is transferable to a pro game. Do you think that what you're doing with Finland now is maybe help you separate yourself?
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like it's going to help me. And obviously, when you play the game like I do, it's really hard for your body, and you lose a lot of carbs and stuff during the game. So when you run a lot and you have good cardio, you recover faster. So that's going to help me a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Yariv, because Yariv didn't know this, but from when I interviewed you previously, tell Yariv about the Super Bowl and where you were for the when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, because Yariv was on the street when they won.
So yeah, I actually have a lot of friends in Philly, and a lot of the prep school. One of my best friends from prep school, he lives in Philly. So I'm not a huge football guy, but I always care about the Super Bowl, and I don't, that year I was rooming with a guy from Philadelphia, and then he kind of got me into Eagles, and he brought me some hats and stuff. So then, Eagles was kind of my thing that year, and then they went to the Super Bowl. So he said he'll take me with him to his house, and it was probably the craziest weekend of my life. I never seen a city go crazy like that. But yeah, I only have good memories from there. It was pretty sick.
Like, just imagine if the Flyers won the cup and you're part of that as a member. Oh God! Listen,
that was really cool.
Millions of people. Man, that'd be. It's going to be something. This team is. They're brewing something special here. It's unbelievable. The makeup is. I guess in correlation with the Flyers' makeup, is TPS on sort of the same level? Are they transitioning? What's your overall aspect of TPS?
I don't know. Like, I feel like TPS, we were kind of rebuilding like the couple of years before. They have had, so the owners of TPS are owners of the Supercell, which is the, if you guys know the games, Clash of Clans, and those games. So they have a bunch of money. So they own the team, and the last years they have had a lot of like old expensive guys, and not too many young guys from Turku, or not too many local guys, or not too many young guys overall. So right now they're kind of rebuilding, and we have a lot of like potential young guys and some old guys as well who played in the NHL. And so I think it's starting to look pretty good in Turku, and the rebuilding is happening, which is one of the reasons I came here, because I know I can take a big role in Finland and big role in Turku, which has always been a dream of mine to, play in front of my family and play pro hockey, the city I was born in. So I think everything is going pretty well here.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear.
And what kind of role do you think obviously you'll play what the coach asks you to do, right? And I think every great hockey player will do that, right? They'll do whatever their team asks of them. But do you have anything that you hope to get? Like, do you hope to be maybe more of a penalty kill guy or a power play guy? Or do you just hope I'll play wherever I need to type of thing?
Well, obviously I'll play where I need to. That's the same thing with NHL, and that's why I think I'm gonna be an NHL player, is that I can play so many different types of game. I can kill penalties and just stay home, and I can fight and just play hard, or then I can run the power play like last year I did. I ran the first power play in Windsor, and so I feel like that's one of my key things, is that I know how to play so many different types, and one of the things I feel like is a key for me in the draft too, is that I've been in the States for 4 years. I know the culture, I know the language, I know how to play the game, and a lot of the Europeans who come from Europe, it might take them 3 years to learn the game. They might never learn the game. Like Neil Yakupov, who was first overall, never learned the game. So I know the game, and I have shown myself in States that I can play the game. And right now I feel like, or I know that the coach in Finland in the TPS, he was the coach for the U20 Finnish team who beat the States last year in U20s.
Yeah, thanks
for so I know he wants to play like US kind of game, and like transfer the puck fast, and not like typical Finnish game that like it's slow and slow starts and stuff like that. So honestly, from next year, I just want to get a top four deep pairing in Liiga, and then obviously power play. Power play is one of my things too that I want to play. I have a good shot, so that's where I get to use it a lot.
How does it feel to have some home cooking again?
Actually, I just bought my own apartment, and I'm moving out in Wednesday. But yeah, I think I'm still allowed to come eat here, hopefully.
What is your favorite meal that your parents make for you?
Oh, that's tough. Probably like a fish dinner, like potatoes and like smoked salmon and raw salmon and fish, for sure.
So you're used to eating healthy already, so it must be easy with the working out, the eating the fish and the carbs, right?
Yeah, we in Finland, or Europe overall, we eat a lot better than in North America. Like even if you live in a home or with parents or billets who make like healthy food, you guys just use way more like milk products and fat, like butter and stuff. So home is a lot healthier.
Yeah, that's what Noah loves now. He loves sour cream. He loves ranch dressing.
That's big.
Ketchup. That's his go-to, and he gets it from me. See, this is why I play. Right? This is why
that's normal American.
This is why I'm killing it for the Flyers right now, right?
But there was a big difference between Canada and the US, like with fast food places. You guys in the States have so much more fast food than in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not.
Oh yeah. We have a lot of fast food. We are in a weird thing where like we have healthy food, but we have so much of the unhealthy. We have so much of everything, just an abundance of whatever you want. So even if we have the healthy stuff, there's so much unhealthy to be tempting you at all times to eat here.
No, that's the thing. You can like I love like Mexican food, like Chipotle and stuff, and like you can find like great fast food in states, which is healthy too. Like in Finland, we're not there yet. That we have a lot of like good healthy fast food places. I think they're building that in here, but at the same moment, we don't have as much as fast food as you guys do overall.
How much of an impact does eating healthy help you during the course of a game?
Last year, I played pretty good all year, and my billets made me a steak dinner every night before. So I think it gives you a lot of energy, and then there's some things every player, some people likes to eat chicken parm before the game. Some people, don't eat. And I personally like to eat, but then a lot of the guys on my team last year, they would like to go to like breakfast before the games in the morning and get like pancakes and stuff. And I did it once, and oh my God, I felt so bad before the game. It was crazy. So I'm more like a food guy, just eat like regular food, no like snacks or anything.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So do you actually, are you very focused on your diet? Because again, I did bring up your weight, and I know that might sound weird to people, but I mean, I focus on physical fitness myself quite a bit. I know how hard it is to be 6 foot, 190 muscle at your age. And I'm not talking about fat, I'm talking about muscle, right? Is this something you heavily focus on, kind of your diet? Would you say it's very important to you?
Yeah, well, in Finland, we have very good strength coach and stuff. So, we focus on everything like that. And just, I work out, and like today I skated from 9 to 10, and then we had 2-hour workout with TPS. And then at night, we had a 10-kilometer running. So, you can kind of eat whatever you want when you train as much as that. Yeah. But I see a big difference if I eat like unhealthy, that I don't have as much energy as if I just eat at home and eat healthy food. So it's not like, I feel bad if I go to a grocery store and get a bag of candy or something. I'm not like that straight, but I still try to eat pretty healthy.
Sure, I get that. We have a couple more questions here, Jamey, and then you go, and then I'll go, and then I think we'll wrap it up from there.
How instrumental is it to have your family with you on this journey? Finally, you at home. How much are they going to boost you this year? Because you mentioned to me in your interview, it seems that you're very tight with your brother. Even though, I got to wait, for Noah to get older, because I know your brother, you say right now, but like your brother's going to kill it here in the next few years, playing hockey. Watch. He's gonna do that switch from video games to hockey. Watch. And I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait years and years for Noah. So like now Noah has competition. But no, seriously, on a serious note, how instrumental is it to have your family?
Well, first of all, it was hard for my parents and siblings when I left when I was 14, and it was hard for me too. Like I always, I wasn't homesick at all, or I always enjoyed it in the States. But at the same time, some nights when you don't fall asleep, and then you start thinking, how's your brother, how's your mom, stuff, and it's always been a dream of mine to play in front of my parents in Finland and in my city. And I have my grandparents watch the games here, and my dad's always been like, I wouldn't say my agent, but like he's the guy. Like I talk to him about hockey, and he talks to me about how to use social media and pushes me to train harder, and in a good way. Just overall, like we're kind of like best friends and do everything together, and as well as my mom like does everything for me, and probably harder for her when I'm not here. But just overall to my family, I feel like everyone's happy that I'm back, at least for now. I haven't heard any complaints yet, but Yeah, it's hard to say, but it's a dream come true to play at home.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
So I have one question, Jamey, and then I'll let you wrap it up. I know we talked about other players. Who was your favorite player growing up? Like, who's your, who do you see in your head? Who did you start with? That you kind of made you love hockey.
Well, the funny thing is that I played forward till I was 10, and then I tried goalie, and then I just became a D. So honestly, like Saku Koivu, Teemu Selänne was when I grew up, and probably Kimmo Timonen as well. But I was probably like 12 or 11 when I started watching like defensemen play more and focus on that side, and probably would say like Eric Carson, Brent Burns, Dustin Byfuglien. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because I don't really remember when I started like watching D, because I remember when I was young it was all about the guy who scores and stuff. So it had to be Saku Koivu.
Pretty amazing names. And Saku Koivu has a great comeback story. We were talking about that earlier. Also a legend.
Yeah,
absolutely. And what a great career he had. And man, I just I used to love Saku Koivu myself. Watching playing. I wished that he would play for the Flyers. But yeah, what a great comeback story. And I can only imagine the mental aspect of the game. And this is sort of leads me to my final question. How hard is it to put? Is it when stuff is going on in the world or whatever? Is it hard to put that mental side away to play, a 60-minute game?
Well, I would say for if someone whose draft year is next year, it's probably the hardest year of your life. Just try not to read all that stuff. And, honestly, don't worry about the draft so much. Just try to focus on playing every game and giving your best and just training hard, because it doesn't really matter what you are at 18 years old, or it doesn't really matter are you first rounder or sixth rounder or whatever. Like you might be for example, my agent got drafted second round. He was kind of a tough guy, but he ended up playing like 150 games in the NHL or so. And then he got drafted to Detroit. And then Datsuk got drafted the same year, sixth round, and he played 1,200 games. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people worry about the draft and the numbers so much. I kind of just, I feel like it's going to pay off someday, my work, and just not kind of like stop watching stuff and just keep working, and it's going to pay off someday. But for sure, like sometimes it's hard, like when you have like 3 games, like three game weekend or something, like sleeping and stuff, and then at the same time you want to you have great Netflix, so you want to watch, but then you have to go to sleep, but you got to sacrifice to be a pro. So
yeah,
beautiful answer, really, really great answer. Love that answer.
That is, and you know what, we were honored to have you on, Ruben, and honestly, nothing but the best of luck to you, your family, and congratulations on the new apartment. Congratulations just on your whole career, man. Honestly, you bring tears to my eyes when you were saying your family story, because that's how we are as a family here, and how we operate here. My whole family, when I was being raised, dinner time, that was it, nothing else. You sat as a family at dinner. You excused, that was the time. Dinner time was very serious, and that made us a very good family, a tight knit family. And I see the same going on with you. And hockey is hockey, but family, man, I'm telling you, I'm very happy you're home playing in front of your family, man. I can only imagine how you feel. That's cool. Amazing, man. And
thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on you, regardless of where you end up. Awesome.
You guys,
excited for
you guys fly here and stay at my place and come to the game. That's a deal.
Well, I'll tell you, you already have a huge fan in Noah. That dude, he ain't going nowhere. So
he has to come with you.
He It's going to be interesting to see him grow. Saying, Ruben, watch when he starts playing. He'll be like 16 years old. He'll score a goal. Ruben.
Still saying Ruben.
But you do have a huge fan. It's unbelievable what you've done just for a kid who's not even 2 years old. It's amazing. And that's why I had to ask you about your brother question, because I can only it's crazy seeing these kids, young kids. It's great that he's not yet. I say his video game. He likes being outdoors. Right now, so it's good.
Get a hockey stick in his hand. Make sure he plays hockey.
For sure. Tell him I said hi, and it's an honor to have fans, and it's an honor to have cute little fans as well. So yeah.
I just want to watch this podcast. Well, of course he can't say that yet, but he's gonna. Now he's like, now he's got a podcast to watch. So.
All right, thank you, Ruben. Really appreciate it, and thank you for everybody listening. Honestly, follow up on Ruben Rafkin. I mean, if you guys don't know, obviously we loved his answers. Look forward to him. Look for him into the draft. Hopefully into the NHL. Look for him in the Finnish leagues. I'm sure we'll have updates on him through the year, so we'll definitely update on you to our watchers and everything. And again, thank you so much, man. We're truly, truly very excited to have you on here, and it was awesome. And thank you, Jamey, for setting this up. Really, really awesome stuff.
Well,
thank you so much.
It's great to have a great young man like Ruben. I mean, all this goes to him. And I really firmly believe. I'm not even going to get. Well, you already know what I was going to say, so we'll just leave it there. But you guys take care.
Thank you, guys. It was my pleasure.
Yep.
Wow, what an episode, Yariv, with Ruben. What a phenomenal guy, and he really gave some really good answers. And one of the most intriguing answers he gave is to where he would be drafted, at some point or whatever round, in the draft. And you and I have been talking multiple times over the course of the past few months, and years ago with you and I in our conversations, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. As long as you get drafted, you can make an impact. What did you think about that with his answer?
Yeah, we obviously we talked about this right after, but I thought those answers were exceptional. I mean, I loved his answers. I thought the maturity level is there. I don't want to say he's the only prospect who thinks this way, but it is an element that I personally would look for. I mean, just the fact that he says that the where he gets drafted doesn't matter, and the fact that he's 18 and understands that it's about the journey of getting into the NHL, and that he shouldn't expect to be in the NHL at 18. It's reminiscent of what you and I talk about all the time, where our fans kind of, jump on a young player, and then by the end of 21, they think he's already done, or by the age of 18, he's supposed to be at a certain place. And, when you hear it come out of the mouth of the guys who are really working to the NHL level, and to understand their humble approach to everything they go through, and how they know that they're expected to kind of get their butts kicked a little bit, and that they see it coming, and that they don't expect to walk into the NHL and put up all these points regardless of where they get drafted. It's really nice to see that a lot of players come from that mindset, and I think it's important for fans to recognize it as well, and to not put those pressure that they recognize is not real in a lot of ways, on the player themselves, and that really to just give it time, give a lot of these players time.
It's funny you mentioned that, and it's crazy that Ruben mentioned that, because there were some things that Ron Hextall did as a former general manager. Ron Hextall did, and it was quoted as saying, and he said, your draft isn't made up of the first two rounds. How good you draft is how good you draft middle to the end of the draft, with those late round hidden gems that. Look at the gems that Ron Hextall drafted. Tanner Lazinski, 6th round. Oscar Lindblom, 5th round. Wyatt Kalnick, 7th round. The list goes on and on. It's absolutely remarkable what Ron Hextall did, later in the round. So Ruben has a really good point. Just because he may not be, and I say may not because any team can draft him whatever round because of where they think he may fit. He's very mature for an 18-year-old. You look at him. Look at how he just held himself, during his interview. He's very mature. His answers were very mature, and you don't get that from every 18-year-old He's seasoned. He's played all over. He's played in the States. Now he's back home in Finland. These things matter when it comes to not just how many points you put on the board. It's not always what you do on the ice. It's how you handle yourself off the ice as well, how you eat. And that was very intriguing to me too, was how he's very serious on what he eats, his body intake, so.
And he's very practical too, which I really liked. And I'm going to go to two different instances here. The one I'll think of is Carson Twarynski, right? In the beginning of this year, I interviewed him prior to the season, and I added him to my honorable mentions list to make the Flyers. Why did I do that? Because when I talked to Twarynski, I saw a maturity in his response. I asked him where he felt that he fit in to the NHL, and he kind of looked at me and grinned and said, he said, "I'm a grinder." He scored 40 goals in juniors. I mean, the guy can put up points. He might put up points in the NHL, but he knew his role. He knew his path to the NHL. And I feel like Ruben Rafkin understands that as well. And the other example of that is maybe a bigger name that a lot of people kind of forget about, but Samuel Morin, right? He was drafted number 11 overall, and they're actually, shout out to Anthony Sanfilippo, who I believe is responsible for this, but there's a web series from back in the day, if you guys can find it, from that draft, where they go through the process of drafting players in that first round. It's a little snippet, but they talk about Morin in particular and why they take Morin, and they say, does he know what he actually will be? Does he understand what kind of player he's really templated to kind of work out? Did Sam Morin think he'd be a top pairing defender? Probably not. Did they think he'd be a big, mean, bruising defender? Kind of how he's developed. And that's what they look for. They look for people who understand practically where they are and what they have to do to get to that next level. Because how many kids come in with a big head and then don't make it, right? Or maybe don't get exactly where they want to,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the sky is the limit for this young man. He's 6 foot, 190. He commands a physical presence. He's a physical defender. He's a physical defenseman. It's not just he has the offensive skills. He could untap his offensive skills, but he is a very good defenseman, whether it be stay at home or, working, because his answer to that was eye-opening to me, because that's something that AV commands. AV is a defenseman, a defensive coach first, offense second, which leads to, great defense leads to better offense. And that's the type system that AV has implemented. So I think he was hinting at, hey, if AV was, sitting on our podcast, he'd be like, his eyes would be like that, because that was a very good answer. He is a good defenseman. It's not just about points.
Yes.
And you don't hear that from a lot of individuals. A lot of the people, in Rafkin's shoes, you would hear, oh, okay, yeah, I just got to put points on the board, and then I'll be, drafted into the, I'll just go in and make the NHL with no problem. No, you won't. There's boundaries. There's stuff that there's hurdles that you got to overcome. You have to learn how to be a defenseman, and that's what he has learned. I think he's playing in the men's league now. He's played with men, but I think now he plays with elder people now. I think that's going to take his game to a whole nother level, and I think that's why he's highly coveted, to be honest, in this draft.
Yeah, I think with you, and the diversity, I think, of where he's played, how he's played, the roles that he's in. I mean, he said it to us, but you see, he still has aspirations to play that power play, right? So even if he doesn't hit those offensive numbers, which are very difficult to do at the NHL, right? At the very least, he understands that his game will be well-rounded enough that he can contribute at the pro level. And I think that's what's awesome about his template, is that he starts there where he's going to be an NHL player, at least I suspect. And then, the ceiling kind of goes up from there depending on his work ethic, his maturity, and maybe his natural gifts, a combination of that. One thing that does play well to him, and I think a lot of people don't realize, and maybe it's something that I kind of realized, is that actually a lot of the best defensemen in the league, I find, are taken in the second and third round. A lot of times they're actually not like, yeah, there's the first round pick defenseman, obviously. Those guys are still pretty rare that they even turn out to be the number one guy that you thought. But a lot of times it's those second round picks, those guys who are slightly flawed, that learn to develop a game later, as most defensemen take time to develop, right? So somebody like Duncan Keith, who was taken in the second round, he developed into a number one defenseman later as he was 23 years old, right? It took time for him to get to that point. Also very similar size and skill set to somebody like Rafkin, who we're talking about. These are the type of guys, and let's even say Robert Haig, who a lot of people don't jump on him to love him. I actually think he's highly underestimated for how good he is in his own zone, especially for being a kid, for coming over and playing in pros at 18 and then on to be able to get shots on net heavy and to put up more points than people anticipate. I think it's just the beginning for Haig and a lot of these guys. And I don't know, I just loved Rafkin's attitude, and I see how many of those defensemen sit between that second, third, fourth round pick range that actually really do end up, Shane Gostisbehere, end up developing into sometimes even elite defensemen.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the big thing about Rafkin, is that he understands that there's going to be some hurdles to overcome in the NHL in terms of the points won't be there. So I could learn how to become a better defenseman, and that's what he has done. He's become a better defenseman in each league he has gone to. And you know, because the NHL is a different beast. The NHL is a beast that not every player can handle, but at least he would hone enough skills to handle his own when and if he received that call up of a lifetime. So I just think he's very intriguing, and it was great to have him on. And what a great guy! I mean, his family story is great. He honestly is a Philly type player. He's a physical defenseman who can be physical and will stick up for his teammates. And I think that that is glue that will be loved throughout the Philadelphia locker room.
Yeah. And I think we're ending on this note. And I just want to give a shout out to Mark Friedman here, who's a guy actually I have not brought up. And I don't want to say Friedman and Ruben Rafkin are the same thing. But I will say there are similarities there, right? Friedman is a smaller defenseman, strong. He's got a two-way game, right-handed, did really well at the NCAA level. I think Ruben, again, somebody the Flyers covet, and we all see as an NHL player, and nobody doubts that Friedman has the ability to play the pro game. They're just not sure what level he really reaches. And I think Ruben actually has, from what I've seen, I don't want to jump, has maybe even a higher ceiling than that maybe he could be a number 4 in the NHL, which is really hard to do. And again, this is all early conversation, but it's a really nice template to work with as a prospect. And I think that we're going to see interesting things from Ruben Rafkin in the future.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, we can leave it there. Shout out to Ruben. Thanks a lot for coming on. And
very much.
Yariv, honestly, it was an honor to have you. On Memorial Day. And for those who do not know, Yariv's birthday was yesterday. He turned 21 again. And
for the second time. Yeah.
So, I'm going to have a brewski for him later for sure. But honestly, we just wanted to say thank you to Ruben, but thank you for those men and women that made the ultimate sacrifice in, defending our nation, allowing us to do this podcast on such a humbling day.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot for this great nation.
Yeah, well said, Jamey. And thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to our fans. And like we said before, check in on Ruben Rafkin. We don't know where he's going to end up in the future, but obviously an intriguing prospect. And, we hope to bring more stuff like this in the future. Thank you for listening. And Jamey, pleasure as always, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You take care.
Until next time.